Alright, hello, it's Kraig with MyBizGuide Business Consulting and Personal Development Hub. Here to talk about capitalism and personal development. Of course, it's mostly personal development. That's the foundation for everything. All the people's problems and solutions are all found within the realm of what we call personal development. So, capitalism, what there's a lot of people that are really claim capitalism, which it's one of the many things that really doesn't make sense. One of the main things is that capitalism doesn't recognize value in a real way. Anything that we talk about outside the realm of monetary has to fit into the box of monetary. So basically, when you talk about money, printed currency, and that exchange system versus value, we get really quickly into natural sources, and natural source itself, the earth, things like food, water, clean air, clean soil. These end up, by default, they have to have a monetary value on them because the capitalist mindset is only thinking in terms of printed currency. So these things that have way more value get falsely subjugated in this delusion of capitalism. So that's one problem. The other problem is that by default it's a scarcity mindset. And scarcity mindset, another term I like to use for it and have used for quite a few years, is a bank account mindset. And that's where when it's based on the premise that if you give something, then you don't have it anymore. So it's a purely physical aspect of trade, of exchange, I should say, and which with capitalism and capitalist mindset, linear mindset, bank account mindset, what that fails to recognize is that things like knowledge, love, those things grow when you give them. So when we give away knowledge, for example, teaching is a common, really good way to learn. So when we give away some of these things, it actually grows, and that's a big part of our species in itself. Is you have to give to get. You have to, and even in business, the first part of business is you have to create value. You have to create something of value, and then you can exchange it. So that giving is key. We have to give. You have to put effort into something. So capitalism kind of starts in the middle of things, and doesn't take into account all things, which of course, again, basic logic. When we're building a logic pyramid, our foundation has to be the biggest common denominator, and that's of course the planet. So capitalism starts with the monetary system, and that monetary system is not the only thing, but it looks at everything around it as if the monetary system is the only thing. And of course it's not, because there's other things that were here way before the monetary system. The monetary system is a relatively new invention in the evolution of our species, and doesn't take into account things like that, doesn't take into account natural law. There's so many things. It's classic addiction. Capitalistic mindset is textbook study for addiction. It's chasing a materialistic, like a low-end fix, in an instant exchange, disregarding the well-being of itself and everything around it. It's classic addiction. It cannot function outside that realm. In that negative cycle keeps repeating itself and replicating itself. And the only thing that they can, money. And they think that they can only fix it with money. Just like the drug addict thinks they're only going to be better if they have one more fix and one more fix and just buy and buy and buy. And that gets into commoditizing people, commoditizing relationships. Another thing I talk about is when people get locked into this capitalistic mindset. And everyone's susceptible to some of these things because it's so prevalent in our society. But when people talk about, when we were talking about people with capitalistic mindset and commoditizing relationships, here's explaining what that is that we have our car and our house and our stereo and our carpet and our books, and everything is ours, and we can buy everything. We purchase these things in exactly the color that we want. But when it comes to dynamic organisms, like specifically other people, but all, nature doesn't work like that. So when we come, to commoditizing relationships is when it's a person to person, we're not recognizing that person as a unique individual, and we're looking for someone that fits this. They've got to be, 5 foot 8 inches tall and, a certain color eyes and a certain length hair and all that kind of stuff. So we get used to this commoditization and capitalization, and those things just really roll together, and that's another huge problem, reflected exactly in contemporary society, is people looking at people as commodities instead of living organisms. And that's that bank account mindset, that scarcity mindset, capitalism. So again, classic addiction, classic example of addiction. Definitely contributes to the problem with commoditizing relationships and lack of understanding people on a deeper level and understanding our natural dynamics. And again, subjugating, natural things of value behind the limits of the monetary system. And then just like anything, when does a tool become a crutch? When does an inanimate object, when does a person get addicted to an inanimate object? Money, drugs, guns, those are all inanimate objects. When people misuse them, they become addicted, and then that's when there's a problem. But as people, we can't save ourselves from ourselves. We can't say money's bad, drugs are bad, guns are bad. Yes, at this point, could there be a little bit of mitigation on those things? Yes, I'm not saying that, but to understand the deeper issues is what we need to do. We need to understand the deeper issues involved with personal development, natural growth, how our natural world lives, how all the organisms on the planet are in line with natural law and are affected by natural law, whether they like it or not. So we can't come into the middle of a natural system, example, the planet, and build a system within it that doesn't recognize the bigger system. Again, super simple. It's just the pyramid, the hierarchy. You can't just come in the middle and do whatever without regards to everything around you. The natural planet, the source of everything, the foundation for everything, always has to come first. And the value there can't be matched in a monetary concept. Food, water, soil, air. Again, it's the capitalistic system. It doesn't recognize value, which is the basic premise of business. So that's a huge thing. And of course, the example we use is, hey, would you buy this bottle of water from me for $100. And no, of course not. Okay, now if we were out in the desert for 3 days and you hadn't had water, would you buy this bottle of water from me for $100? Of course I would. No, you wouldn't, because I wouldn't sell it to you for $100. Super, super simple value. You know, life-sustaining things cannot have a monetary value placed on them. And capitalism typically doesn't recognize the limits of the monetary exchange system. So, yeah, business, value, there's so many inconsistencies with capitalistic mindset. So someone says, oh, well, I'm a capitalist, and, they're a capitalist country and capitalist this. It's like, dumb. Doesn't work. So, and doesn't facilitate conversations like these. So if we have conversations like these and we know how things really work and we talk about how things really work, then we can see people with a non-sustainable mindset and recognize, well, this person has problems. I'm not going to put them in charge of this important issue. Understanding the basics of people, it's important. We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to understand each other on a real level and understand real human development, just like everything else. Cognitively recognize some basic parts to our existence. So anyway, I don't have any notes on that, just speaking from the cuff, but that's the gist of capitalism. That's some of the points on why capitalism is not conducive to a healthy personal development regime, and some of the limits of the monetary system and capitalism, addiction, commoditizing relationships, all these things that go against our overall health and well-being and the overall health and well-being of the planet. So, with that, hope everyone's having a good day. Check me out, www.mybizguide.com, also on Facebook, also on Instagram. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.